Tra i soggetti che hanno contribuito alla realizzazione del convegno anche la Federazione del Credito Cooperativo. Invito il dottor Paolo Grignaschi.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, Rector Gonsalves, Director Petrucciani, President Di Segni, Ambassador, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that I greet the proceedings of this international conference on behalf of the Credit Cooperative Banks, of the Federation of the Credit Cooperative Banks, a federation that started its activity on the 11th of March 1967, which means that this year we celebrate our 50th anniversary, a golden anniversary, an anniversary we would like to be characterized with cultural events, with the aim to deepen the understanding of our true nature. See, we consider ourselves different banks, and the claim of our latest advertising campaigns has always been, my bank is different. Different from the model of the international large corporation, which is dominating the globalized finance of the world, and which is taking an overwhelming role also in the euro area, despite the fact that the tradition of European banking is local banking. Well, we know we cannot avoid confrontation with these scenarios. We know we cannot avoid regulators imposing on us rules that are designed for large corporations. We know we have to respect the law passed by the Italian government that on last April forces us to unite under a limited holding with the purpose to access the capital market, because this is the mantra in the ECB. Capital, 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 more capital, more capital, more capital. It's never enough. But we also know that it is vital to us to mark our difference, to keep it. And to do that, we must understand it in its roots. We must understand what we are made of. Well, while I was wondering about, how to tackle these issues in this year events, I received a call from Mrs. Antonella Giannini, which is a friend of mine since a long time. Well, she said, I would like to come to visit you together with Professor Irene Caillon of the Department of Philosophy, La Sapienza University of Rome, because we have an interesting offer for you, proposal that you will surely like. Well, this is how I met Franz Rosenzweig. I've always been passionate about philosophy, and I studied it eagerly during my high school years that, by the way, I attended at Istituto Massimo, which is a Jesuit educational institute in Rome. Mario Draghi studied there, too. I don't know if there is a kind of a contradiction in what I'm saying. But I never knew Franz Rosenzweig. But as soon as Professor Caillon, Irene Caillon, started illustrating this marvelous idea of this conference, centered on this word "and," I was absolutely enlightened. The fact that this conjunction, has such a meaning in reality. On one side, it allows to avoid the monism, yes, which is typical of idealistic philosophy, but is also typical of the world we are living. What also Mr. Petrucciani said before, and what I tried to tell you before talking about, the problems that we are facing, for example, with the ECB. And on the other side, to avoid the fragmentation of reality, which is, of course, typical of anti-idealistic trends, but is also typical in society, in economics, of populism, of localism. So we need, at least here in Europe, but I think also elsewhere, to find really a conjunction. I think Franz Rosenzweig has a lot to teach us also now, as all. Well, so I'm glad to see a lot of you here. I'm glad to see so many young people amongst us. I'm glad to see representatives from our banks. And in the conclusion of my short greetings speech, I would like once again to thank you all for this opportunity, to wish you all fruitful discussions today and in the following days, and as our Latin ancestors used to say, ad maiora. Thank you. Thanks.